The spectacle of woke feminists, an army of privileged, unhappy, neurotic women with an endless amount of spare time, try to bring meaning to their boring lives. Is this not almost word for word how I've been describing the woke social justice problem in the West since the beginning? Social justice is a first world problem. You got a bunch of privileged, upper middle class, rich people with no real problems in their lives that are manufacturing problems for other people, especially when it comes to white women, too. Goddamn, white women are probably the most privileged leisure class to have ever existed in human history, at least modern white women. And yet, all they do is complain. Ever since the Women's March imploded under the leadership controversies, angry woke white women have been waiting for their marching orders. An army of privileged, unhappy, neurotic women with endless amount of spare time and desire to give meaning to their boring lives has once again been organized and unleashed on the public. God, such an accurate description of the situation, man. Like I can't even laugh anymore. I'm just nodding. Like, yup, finally someone else sees the problem for what it is. Now, they are fighting in what they believe is a new war on women's. Their recruiters and the media have deliberately created confusion regarding the Supreme Court decision that overturned the 1973 case Roe v. Wade, though leaving the question of abortion's legality to the states. Many protesters believe that abortion has been outlawed completely and that the rights to contraception and same-sex marriage may be next. Now, same-sex marriage might be, because that was another thing that was decided by the court, just like abortion, when it should be up to the states. So their impaired capacity for critical thinking, longing to be a part of an oppressed class, and insatiable need for attention makes them especially gullible for misinformation and recruitment into a variety of abortion rights groups. So all the times that they look at us and they say, watching these YouTubers is a gateway to the alt-right, like they're literally projecting. Because they are dumb enough to fall for shit like that, and they assume all the rest of us are too. So, like different battalions in an army, each pro-abortion activist group has its own distinctive symbols, names, and uniforms. Woke feminazis love symbolism, especially if they can wear it, which is why they are thrilled that the Women's March is back with new colors and accessories to vent their hatred. They replaced pink pussy hats with annual Trump hate fists with the green bandanas and a summer of rage to fight for abortion rights. The Women's March's recent campaign was called Fuck the Fourth, reminding us once again that their preference for profanity and their potty mouths. They were organized under the hashtag Fuck the Fourth. The women were instructed to wear green instead of red, white, and blue while protesting at courthouses on Independence Day. How shitty must your life be? Oh, wait a minute. No, they got good lives, which is why they have the time to do this shit. So green has become the official color for abortion rights, and shouldn't it be red? I mean, you're murdering babies, and I'm assuming they bleed red, don't they? And plus, aren't you all proud of your periods? Green bandana has become an international symbol for the fight to keep abortion legal. Similar to other gangs, woke women's wear green bandanas to signify affiliation. They also wear green clothing, carry green banners, signs, and flags, and paint body parts green. The green bandana became a symbol of resistance to anti-abortion laws in Argentina and spread to Colombia and other countries. For 2 decades, green has been worn by millions of women while fighting for abortion rights. Solidarity with the oppressed women of Latin America gave the color green the required status to appeal to the woke women's of America. So, TLDR, woke white American women's are appropriating Latin American culture. Somebody should really start signal boosting that. The Rise Up for Abortion Rights is a national pro-abortion group that organizes nationwide protests and encourages supporters to wear and display green for abortion to disrupt business as usual in churches, sports arenas, and other venues across the country. The group uses a variety of slogans, including overturn Roe, hell no, forced motherhood, female enslavement, and abortion on demand and without apology. They say nothing about forced fatherhood, though. Like, if you're a guy and you don't want to have a kid, they all, you should have just kept it in your pants then. And when we say it back to them, the supporters for Rise Up for Abortion Rights often wear pants with fake bloodstains around the crotch and dripping down their thighs to symbolize forced birth and forced motherhood. No, I think it's to symbolize your mental illness. The group organized a rally for teenage girls called Women's Are Not Incubators Youth Procession to protest at the home of Supreme Court Justice Amy Coney Barrett. An insurrection by their definition. The young Whammons not only wore bloodstained pants, but also carried lifelike baby dolls to symbolize forced birth. The protest did not have the desired effect because dead babies are typically associated with pro-life protesters. Frankly, one should know that the connotations of these props before marching. Well, no one told them. That's the thing. Like, they're just doing what they've been told. Do you think they thought any of this through? Now, additionally, forced motherhood sounds like the name of a bad stepmother movie. That sounds pretty funny, actually. I'd watch that. However, if the bloodstained crotch pants were symbolic of the shortage of tampons in the country, now that would be an all-powerful statement. Oh, they should start selling that because that's why they keep changing up their merch, like going from the pussy hats to the green bandanas to the fake bloodstained pants. Because there's corpos making money selling these idiots merch. Every protest, there's a new piece of merch they need to buy, and they just consume without asking questions. They're just dumb. The Rise Up for Abortion Rights praised supporters who disrupted church services by stripping down to their underwear during the service and topless protesters who stormed the court at a WNBA game. Who cares about the WNBA? I mean, there's nothing but other feminists there anyway. And plus, there's only like one person in the audience. Like, who the fuck cares? So that's courageous, inspirational acts. Topless protests by feminazis have been around for a while. Radical feminazi activist group Femin, founded in Ukraine, became internationally known for organizing controversial topless protests against religious institutions and social, national, and international issues. Femin protesters are typically comprised of beautiful, young, tall, slim, small-breasted women with slogans painted across their bare chests. See, they're at least smart. They use good-looking women. Yeah, here in the U.S., it's the opposite. Like, the only women you see going topless are, like, let's just say the land whales. Feminists frequently protested for abortion rights, including against the recent U.S. ruling. During a counter-protest in Paris in current year -10, feminine members went topless and wore nuns' habits out of support of gay marriage. Now, that was a powerful protest symbolism. However, the topless Rise Up for Abortion rights Whammons who disrupted a WNBA game in Brooklyn just didn't have the same aesthetic effect. 200-pound, 5'2" middle-aged Whammons who painted their breasts green and wore white blood-stained pants while running across a basketball court looked like a cross between Shrek and the Hulk escaping a lunatic asylum. That's exactly what it is. Except not nearly as fit as either of the two of them. Oh, God, that is so true. So many pro-abortion activists frequently have signs with images of coat hangers or carry actual coat hangers during demonstrations. Coat hangers are a universal symbol of unsafe backstreet abortions because wire coat hangers, a common household item, were one of the methods used for self-induced abortions. Some of the less informed protesters carry plastic or wooden coat hangers as a symbol of abortion. Oh, man. The salt has been great, though, I gotta say. I've been loving all the salt that this has spawned. Rise Up for Abortion Rights organized a National Day of Action on July 4th to demand nationwide legal abortion now. Now, if you want to do that at Congress, you have the option, you know. One poster reads, July farce when Whammons are not free. No one is free. Another protester depicts an American flag in which coat hangers replace the stars, and the red stripes are depicted as blood leaking out of vaginas of naked pregnant women. Oh, my God. The continual use of bloody naked women in their pro-abortion imagery seems excessively violent and is clearly circulated to agitate and incite. Although I think it's having the opposite effect in that it incites people who already believe the shit, like the same things they do, but it turns everyone else against them. Even normies are like, yeah, get these crazy motherfuckers away from me. No one wants to see that shit. Maybe we should bring back the nut houses. Ruth Sent Us is a radical anti-Catholic pro-abortion activist group named after the late Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Now, they encourage their supporters to protest at Catholic churches and disrupt masses. They dox the home address of 6 conservative U.S. Supreme Court justices, 5 conservative justices, and John Roberts. Correction there. Calling for protests at their private homes, violent insurrection, and suggested targeting the children of Supreme Court Justice Amy Coney Barrett with protests. See, these fuckers will literally harass your children if you disagree with them. But you use the wrong pronouns on them and they'll cry like you literally punched them and get you banned from everything. Their Twitter page photo depicts a protest holding a sign that reads, "Now we must be ruthless." Well, you already are. You've been ruthless for like 3 years now, okay? So the de facto uniform of Ruth Santos and other pro-abortion activists around the world is ankle-length red robes and cloaks with white bonnets. The red cloak uniforms are the same costumes worn in Margaret Atwood's 1985 novel turned TV series The Handmaid's Tale. Novel is set in a near-future theocratic dictatorship where North American population is significantly decreasing. It portrays life under a patriarchal, tyrannical variant of Christianity that imposes severe limits of freedom and women's rights in an effort to increase fertility rates. Of course, they don't want to talk about other parts of the world that have something like this because they don't want to be phobic. The Handmaid's sole function is to have babies as they are forced to bear children for wealthy older couples. The Handmaid's Tale is chock full of woke symbolism. The clothing, the language, the iconography from the book and TV series all support their favorite grievances: class, race, and gender discrimination, subjugation of women, no reproductive rights, and much more. Yeah, the more they keep bringing up The Handmaid's Tale, the more I'm like, like what the communists say, right? Oh, real communism has never been tried. Well, maybe real patriarchy has never been tried, and we should give it another go. Between the red cloaks, handmaids, topless women's, and nuns' habits, hey, that's if they're good looking, they'll at least get my attention. So dead baby dolls, bloody pants, and half-naked, green-breasted, obese women sounds like an average feminist rally to me. The protests are much more a nightmare of apocalyptic zombie nunsploitation films with scenes from Carrie, It's Alive, and The Walking Dead. Oh, yeah. They don't realize what a fucking joke they are. Most of the privileged, bored women go home and share photos of the day dabbling in politics on social media. However, some of the younger women's, the protests are a type of gateway drug to the next level of activism. They join more militant feminazi groups in which protest involves vandalism, arson, and more. Yeah, then they end up like Moldy Locks. So Jane's Revenge is an anarcho-feminazi pro-abortion extremist network of individuals and groups with ties to Antifa, so domestic terrorists. They have been targeting pro-life resource centers, crisis pregnancy centers, and churches in the name of defending abortion rights. Since May of current year, Jane's Revenge is taking credit for dozens of attacks, including firebombing, vandalism, and arson. So, if you know who's doing it, why are they not in prison yet? What's the excuse? Graffiti and phrases, Jane's Revenge, Jane was here, and Jane says revenge has been spray painted at the crime scene as signature of the network. The message, if abortions aren't safe, then you aren't either, appears in graffiti at multiple scenes and become a slogan, message, and threat of the Jane's Revenge network. So you notice all these violent woke people, they're willing to go this far because they know you're not going to do anything about it. But once people routinely start defending themselves, this shit's going to stop overnight. No, Jane's Revenge has not explained the origin of the group's name. One theory is that Jane's Revenge is a reference to Jane Roe, whose real name was Norma McCorvey, a pregnant plaintiff in the landmark Roe v. Wade case. The second is that the group's name is a tribute to the 1960s legal abortion network called the Jane's Collective, aka Jane, an underground group of activists in Chicago that helped women obtain abortions prior to Roe v. Wade decision. Jane's Revenge has threatened domestic terrorist attacks in several communiques on June 14th. Jane's Revenge promised to escalate its tactics and pro-life organizations continue operations as usual. They wrote, and those measures may not come in the form of something so easily cleaned up as fire and graffiti. They're literally a group of domestic terrorists making threats of violence as our government ignores them because they're too busy manufacturing fake terrorists on the right. The women who are no longer content to protest peacefully now fancy themselves to be anarchists, freedom fighters, and revolutionaries. Until they actually face consequences, then the LARP ends overnight. Disrupting church services evolves into firebombing churches, threats against Supreme Court justices become assassination attempts, fake blood becomes real blood, and the spectacle of protest evolves into the spectacle of terrorism. That's probably where they're trying to put it, but again, they're only doing it now, like they're LARPing. They're doing it because they feel safe doing it. Once it's not safe for them to do so anymore, this will stop immediately. Like, wait, we could actually get hurt doing this? Wait up. Suddenly, I'd rather just be in the kitchen